Welcome back to Learn English Naturally. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something we all do, like every day, introductions.
It's funny how such a simple thing can be so tricky sometimes.
Right. I mean, we all know the basics. Hi, my name is Hugh. But there's so much more to it. I actually once made a huge blunder with a super formal introduction. It did not go well. But luckily, we've got tons of great examples to help you navigate those awkward moments, whether you're at a fancy work event or just meeting new people at, a coffee shop.
I think what's so interesting is that no matter what language you speak or where you are in the world, introductions are the key to, connecting with people.
Okay, so let's unlock this key, starting with those basics. Hi, my name is Brell. Pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, but even with the simple stuff, there's a lot of nuance. Like, think about what's your name versus, could you tell me your name, please? Both are asking the same thing, but one is definitely more formal.
Oh, totally. I learned that the hard way, actually. I once used, the most formal phrase ever at a friend's barbecue, super casual setting. Everyone just stared at me like I was speaking another language.
Uh-huh. I can imagine. I think we've all had those moments. It's all part of the learning process, though, right?
Absolutely. You got to laugh at yourself sometimes. Okay, so once you've gotten the name down, what's next? How do you actually add some detail without, oversharing right off the bat?
Think about it like giving someone a little taste of who you are. You don't want to give them the whole meal right away. Mentioning where you're from or what you do for work, it's like adding spices to the conversation. It can give people something to connect with.
That's a perfect way to put it. So, instead of just saying, I'm Sarah, I can say, I'm Sarah, and I grew up in Tokyo. Suddenly there's a story there,
Exactly. And even the way you phrase things can make a difference. Like saying I'm from versus I grew up in. Subtle, but it hints at your past a bit more. Maybe leads to a more interesting conversation.
And that brings us to what I think is the most fascinating part, how the actual setting, the situation you're in, totally changes how you introduce yourself.
It's true. You wouldn't walk into a business meeting and use the same introduction you would at a party, right?
Right. Imagine showing up to a super formal work event and being like, hey, what's up? Probably not the best first impression.
Definitely not. You want to match your introduction style to the situation, just like you match your clothes to the occasion. It's all about reading the room, So in a formal setting, you might say something like, good morning, my name is Michael Johnson. I'm the director of operations at ABC Corp.
But if you're at, a friend's party.
Yeah. Then it's totally fine to just be like, hey, I'm Jake. Nice to meet you. See? Totally different vibe.
It's amazing how just changing a few words and your tone of voice can completely change the message. It's like speaking a secret language almost.
In a way, it is. It's about communicating effectively, not just speaking the words. So to really get a feel for all this, why don't we try out some real-life dialogues? Imagine we're at a social gathering, maybe a party or something.
Okay, I'll be person A. Hi, my name is Emma.
Nice to meet you, Emma. I'm Jack.
Nice to meet you too, Jack. Where are you from?
I'm from Toronto, but I've been living in Chicago for about a year.
Oh, that's cool. I'm from Los Angeles. What do you do?
I'm an architect. And you?
I'm a graphic designer. I work freelance. See, it's like magic. We just covered, names, where we're from, and our jobs, all in a totally natural conversation.
It's all about that back and forth, just like a tennis match. Keep the conversation flowing. Now, how about a different scenario? Imagine we're at work, and I'm introducing you to a colleague. I'll be the one making the introduction this time. Hi, Sarah. This is my friend John. John, this is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, John. What do you do for work?
I'm a software developer. How about you?
Oh.
I'm a teacher. I teach high school science. I like that in this one. We added a tiny detail about John's job. It just gives Sarah a little bit more to go on,
Exactly. It helps get the conversation started. It shows you're thinking about both people and trying to help them connect. Okay, let's switch gears one more time. This time, imagine you're walking into a room for a big presentation at work. A little more serious, right?
I definitely got to bring my A game for that introduction.
Oh!
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel Carter, and I'm the new project manager for this team. I'm excited to work with all of you.
Boom! Nailed it. Confident, clear, and, just the right level of professional.
It's like having different introduction outfits for different occasions,
Yeah.
You got to dress to impress.
That's a great way to think about it. Now that we've covered some of those, basic introduction formulas, how about we add some personality to it?
Oh, yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
How can I really make my introduction stand out?
One thing you can try is, instead of just stating your job title, use a verb that really shows your passion. So, like, instead of saying, I'm a writer, you could say, I craft stories. Or, like, I'm passionate about bringing words to life.
Ooh, I like that. It's so much more engaging.
Right. It's like taking a black and white photo and adding color. It just makes it more interesting, more you.
Totally. And it probably makes people more curious, too. Like, if someone said they craft stories, I'd want to know more about what kind of stories.
Exactly. It invites those follow-up questions, keeps the conversation flowing. So instead of just, I'm what are some other power verbs we could use? Let me think.
Yeah, what else besides love and passionate about?
Well, it depends on what you do, but think about what makes you excited about your work. Do you enjoy it? Specialize in something specific? Do you focus on, create, develop, or build things? Or maybe you manage people or projects?
Ooh, those are good. I'm already thinking about how to describe my work in a way that, like, shows off my personality.
Now remember, introductions are a two-way street. It's not just about how you introduce yourself, it's also how you respond when someone else introduces themselves.
Oh, that's true. I always feel a bit awkward after just saying, nice to meet you. What else can you say?
Try turning it into a conversation. Like, ask a follow-up question based on what they said. If someone mentions they're from Argentina, you could say something like, Argentina, wow, have you always lived there? Or, what's your favorite thing about Argentina?
So instead of just, like, letting the information hang there, I'm throwing the ball back to them.
Exactly. It shows you're listening and actually interested in what they have to say. And you can even relate it to your own experiences. Like, if they mention they're a musician, you could say, oh, that's so cool. My brother's a musician too. What instrument do you play?
Oh, yeah. Finding those little connections is always fun. Okay, how about a situation that always makes me a little nervous? Introducing myself to a whole group of people. Like, how do you even approach that?
I know, it can be intimidating, especially if everyone already seems to know each other. The key is to, well, kind of observe first and find a good moment. Like, are they deep in conversation or is there a natural pause?
So timing is key. But then what do you actually say?
Keep it simple. You could say something like, hi, everyone. Mind if I join you? I'm your name and I'm new to the group.
And then, like, if someone seems friendly, you could follow up with, what are you all talking about? Or what brings you all together?
Exactly. You're showing that you want to be part of the conversation. Okay, now how about introducing two other people to each other? Sometimes I get so flustered and mix up the names, it's so embarrassing. I feel you. It happens to the best of us. I think the most important thing is to just be really clear. Pronounce both names clearly and make it obvious who you're introducing to whom. You can say something like, Sarah, this is John. John, this is Sarah.
Simple and straightforward. Is it okay to add a little more detail, though, just to, make it less robotic?
Definitely. After the names, you can mention something relevant to this situation. Like at a work event, you could say, Sarah, this is John. John works in marketing, and Sarah's our new project manager.
Ooh, that's good. Gives them a little common ground, something to talk about besides the weather.
Speaking of common ground, remember how we talked about pronunciation earlier? There are some sounds that can be tricky for English learners, especially when it comes to introduction.
Oh, yeah, like the fifth sound, this, and the. Always a tough one.
It's all about tongue placement. Try putting the tip of your tongue between your teeth and gently pushing air out. It takes practice, but you'll get it.
What about the R sound? I've heard people struggle with that one, too.
Ah, yes, the English R. It's pronounced further back in the mouth, almost in your throat. Listening to native speakers and, practicing regularly really helps. Don't be afraid to exaggerate those sounds at first. That's how you learn.
These tips are so helpful. I'm already feeling way more confident about making introductions in all kinds of situations.
That's what we like to hear. Remember, confidence is key. The more you practice these tips, the smoother and more natural your introductions will become.
We've covered so much ground today, from basic phrases to, like, power verbs, responding to introductions, different settings, even pronunciation tips.
Phew! And we're not done yet. There's one more piece of the puzzle we need to explore.
Ooh, there's more.
Absolutely. Introductions aren't just about language, they're about understanding different cultures.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive on introductions. We've talked about so much already, I feel like I could introduce myself to anyone now.
Well, almost. We've got one more really important piece to cover because, the world is a pretty diverse place.
Right, it's not just about speaking English perfectly, it's about understanding different cultures too.
Exactly. So today we're adding another layer to all those awesome introduction skills we've been talking about, cultural awareness.
That makes sense. I've definitely had those moments where I wasn't sure what the right way to introduce myself was, especially when meeting people from different backgrounds.
It's like traveling to a new country. You want to learn the local customs so you don't accidentally offend anyone, and introductions are definitely part of that. One of the biggest things to be aware of is the level of formality.
Oh yeah, like in some cultures, it's super important to use titles and last names when you first meet someone, especially at work. But other places, it's totally cool to jump right into first names.
Exactly. And even things like physical contact can be tricky. A firm handshake might be expected in one place, but a bow or a nod is more appropriate somewhere else. Even hugs can have different meanings across cultures.
Okay, so how do we avoid making a mistake? It feels like there are so many potential pitfalls.
The best advice is to just be observant and respectful. Pay attention to how other people are interacting and kind of follow their lead. And when in doubt, it's usually better to err on the side of formality.
So it's like learning a new dance. You got to watch the other dancers before you jump in.
Exactly. And of course, a genuine smile and respectful attitude goes a long way in any situation. Those nonverbal cues are super important no matter where you are in the world.
So basically, to really master introductions, it's not enough to just speak English well. You also need to be culturally aware.
It's all connected. By understanding different customs and communication styles, you're not just learning a language, you're opening yourself up to a whole world of possibilities.
It's like you're adding a whole new dimension to those introductions, building bridges between cultures.
Exactly. Every introduction, no matter how brief, has the potential to create something special. And that's what makes this topic so fascinating. Introductions are the starting point of, well, countless relationships, collaborations, friendships, shared experiences.
They're like the key that unlocks a whole world of connections.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. Don't just introduce yourself, engage with the other person. Acknowledge their background, their perspective, their culture. It can make all the difference.
And remember, every introduction is an opportunity to connect, to learn, to grow.
Well, that's it for this episode of Learn English Naturally. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the art of introductions. It's a simple act, but when you do it well, it can really open doors.
Don't forget to subscribe and join us next time for another deep dive into a fascinating aspect of English communication. We'll see you then.
Bye for now.